David Vizard here. You guys are watching PowerTec 10. In this edition, I'll go by up here, I'm going to dedicate to comments on things that people have commented about on my channel and comments about people's other channels, plus progress reports and where we're at on several projects here. Talk about having to juggle 6 or 7 balls all at once. I'm having a hard time doing one, but here we go. First, I'm sure that most of you who have been watching this channel understand the fact that we try as far as possible to get the facts out, not BS. Any products which are getting to involve comments or claims that are shady or downright out the window, we expose them. We don't accept payment for automotive advertising, but a company can't advertise with us unless they meet 3 criteria. 1, the company's product has to be one we've tested and approve of. 2, they can't tell you it's better than anybody else's. They can only tell you what they have, what it does, and that has to be accurate, otherwise I'm on their deal here. And let you know about new things that are happening with their company, events they might be holding. Nothing that can be contradicted by other companies. Nothing that makes them able to put out false information about the performance of their parts. We just don't let them put out any. That's our job. We tell you how good things are, how mediocre they are, or how bad they are. The advertiser does not. Now, that doesn't mean we don't accept advertising. Oh, sure, we will accept advertising so long as it is something that is not to do with what we specialize in, automotive performance. If your company wants to advertise baked beans, fine, you just pay the normal rate. If your company wants to advertise t-shirts, a new potato seed, fine. That's nothing to do with what we do. So if they are into BS, they're fooling us as well as you, but it's not where we're at. Now, in an effort to keep all these things straight, we've got to be on the ball. So here's what we've got for this edition, which is basically making some comments on stuff which deserves making comments, positive or negative. So here we go. Okay, let's start the ball rolling with comments on comments. I'm going to kick the ball here right into a goal, I hope, by bringing to light a relatively well-known head porter who absolutely was adamant that I am lying through my teeth when I tell him that Warren Johnson's cam testing amounts to about a teacup compared with my bucketful. And he said he's lost all respect for me. Now, let me say to this gentleman, what is it you think I do for a living? Bet I know. You think I'm a tech writer. I'm just very good at it. In fact, good enough to beat all the professional tech writers. I am not a tech writer, I am a research engineer. On the other hand, Warren Johnson is a pro stock race car builder. His job is to win races, not test cams. The cam testing is simply a side issue to winning races. And I've used this before. How many of you have ever bought a drill? I'm sure every one of you is going to put your hand up. Well, You didn't want a drill. You wanted a hole. How many of you have bought cylinder heads? You didn't actually want cylinder heads. You wanted more torque and horsepower. Warren Johnson didn't actually want a cam. He wanted more torque and horsepower from his Pro Stock engine. As it happens, way back when, I had a loose connection with Warren Johnson's cam testing, not in person, but by virtue of a third party, kind of a spy in Warren's workshop. This guy was a friend of mine. He was also a friend of one of the guys that did dyno testing at Warren's. As I remember it, I'm going back 30 years. Now, Warren was only a professional cam tester while he was testing a few cams. And let me tell you, I've been in the business of testing Pro Stock cams for clients. And if you're a competitive Pro Stock engine builder, your camshaft that you existingly have should be fairly close to the mark. If it isn't, you wouldn't be in enough of a good shape to even qualify. So this was a car that qualified regularly, and to win they needed probably 25-30 horsepower more. So I got to help out with the cam testing. I believe that the most cams we tested was about 9. Took a couple of days, maybe 3, can't remember now. And at the end of it, we were about 10 horsepower better than we were before. Well, 10 horsepower in 1400 is not a lot, and you have to be real careful that it's not within the noise of the dyno testing, i.e. that was the margin of error due to test-to-test errors. Does the dyno read the same every time? And just for those people who say, well, dynos never read the same every time, I designed a dyno for Cosworth that read within 1/100th of a horsepower. Any errors you saw on that dyno was due to what the engine did, not errors in the dyno. Now, you can say, can't test to that. You may not be able to test to that, but I sure as hell can. I'll talk about that dyno down the road, but I don't want Mr. Doubting Thomas saying, oh, you can't test to that. I can test to it, and if you want to call me up personally, I'll tell you how it's done. I just don't want to tell everybody now. Anyway, for 3 years, I was employed almost full time testing cams. I must ask said head porter, how do you think I managed to author a cam selection program as sophisticated and accurate as the one I have done, where it not only selects the cam for the engine correctly on the correct lobe centerline angle and the correct duration for the intake and exhaust, and gives you the advance that it needs to be for the cylinder heads used, and tells you how much vacuum it's going to have, how much horsepower and torque it's going to make, assuming that there's a set limit to the compression ratio, how much horsepower an engine can make due to the compression ratio, and then having the cam right, and so on. It will even tell you what induction tuned length you need to have for that. What else? What the gear shift points are, what peak power will be, how much the torque will be. Then it will go through 2,200 roller cam profiles, just about everything in the industry, and in 90 seconds you can select the profiles you need for a cam that will do just that. Nothing coming out of Warren Johnson's shop will do that. So I don't want any more of this BS like you've lost all regard, no, lost all respect for me. That's your problem, not mine, right? You, Mr. Head Porter, need to do your research. Did you watch episode 85 like I told you to? Now, this is a message to all of you. If you want to see the decomposition of one of the most bullshit aspects of cam technology dished out by pro stock engine builders and professional top of the line cam companies, including Comp, Crane, you name it. All of those cam companies. Go and see episode 85. It'll set you straight just like it set them straight. And it's not something you can get from any other technical author on the face of the planet. End of story. Now let's go on to the next thing we're going to talk about. Apologies if I sounded a little ticked off in the last section, but situations like this happen, I don't know, it seems like on a weekly basis, where somebody gives me a lot of grief because they think I'm stepping out of line of what a motoring journalist should do. I don't know how many times I've got to say that's not my primary source of income. It's as a research engineer. I have literally made huge sums of money on my patents and things like this for jobs I've done for companies that those guys who are criticizing me don't even know about, right? So here they go, blasting off on something they have not researched. They probably can't research it because it's my private business. It's not out for public review. Anyway, enough said. I'm going to have another grouse now. Remember, I started, I think it was, well, I'll put it across the bottom, episode whatever, on EcoBoost cold air boxes and cold air boxes in general. And I said I didn't think that they were as effective as they could be. Well, the tests I'm doing right now, and I'll just show you where I'm at on my cold air box and the tests I'm doing for it, I am so much better than those air boxes in terms of heat deal, and I will cover that in an episode specifically on that subject. But trust me on this, the amount of air, the amount that the air can be cooled going to the turbo on an EcoBoost Mustang is way, way, way more than anything that is out there on the market. So my criticism here is these cold air boxes aren't as cold as they should be. Manufacturers, you need to take note of that, and I am going to probably supply some of the solution. No, I am going to supply the solution. Now, what you're looking at here is where I'm at the moment on my cold air boxes. You can see the structure I put on there, and I'm going overboard on this. And even without the final operation, which is the coating, which is an insulating coating of paint, which has the name of, it's hard to believe this, lizard skin. That's not something you're going to forget easily. Now, the lizard skin experiments are coming along nicely, and they are doing, or they appear to be doing, better than the company claimed. But more on that shortly. As soon as I finish this airbox, you'll get the whole grip on how to make airboxes work as simply as possible, or improve them vastly as simply as possible. Right, next subject. Well folks, it's a couple of days on from when I did any videoing for this episode 137. Why? 60 and 70 mile an hour winds, huge rainstorms, and power outages. I think we went somewhere around 38 to 40 hours without any power. And just would seem like it was all happening at times when I needed to do recording. But anyway, we're over that. We're up and running again. Now, I was on about cold air boxes, and my cold air box endeavors here include ramming the cold air box. Now, the typical deal to pick up air at the grill is to get one of those things that I'll show you go by. I want you to note the shape of it as it goes up on the screen, because now I'm trying to install this ram thing without taking the front off. Now I realize that the one that you've just seen is to be installed when you take the front off. You've only just got to cut it out and it just presses up against it. But here's my beef with it. It's a very simplistic design, and they spent more time putting their badge in there than they have airflow testing it to see what it should be like. Now I'm cutting mine, I don't know if you can see this, I'm cutting mine out to reshape it. Can you see how much of the original one's left? The badge is gone. This here, I don't know, there's room to put in a curve like this, right back to about here. This is all unused space in the car. They could have done that. This here doesn't quite come vertical with the grill, so I've got to modify that. All of this down here has to be redone. Now, and here's my big beef with this. The area here, and this goes to the stock shape, is insufficient for the power that my motor is making currently, which is about 375 horsepower. What this needs is a duct which is at least the area of a 4-inch diameter pipe. Now I'm going to look at building my own ram air cold air intake system, because I'm not happy with any of them out there. At the speed the car can go at, we can get sufficient ram pressure to actually make it worthwhile. I'll put in a graph to show what that is. Now, there may be a reason why whoever it is made this. Let me see. It's AFE Power. It's a kind of worthwhile try, guys, but you could have done better. Now, the thing is does it work? I suspect it does. It just doesn't work as good as it could. And to be honest, I'm not into half-assed jobs, right? So this is why I'm having my deal making my own here. Anyway, on to the next subject. You've heard me criticize various channels for reasons that are pretty well founded. And I've got 2 channels I'm going to weigh into pretty heavy here. First one. I'm sure many of you have heard of LAK Speed. This is the guy that started off at Joe Gibbs Racing and was involved in the promotion, selling, and I suspect to an extent the formulation of the Joe Gibbs oil, which has now been sold off and is under the name of good Lord, I forgot. I'll come up with it. I'll put it down here. Now, recently I had a whole bunch of guys say, I say a whole bunch now, maybe 3 or 4, 5 at the most, give me some sarcastic criticism saying I don't know diddly squat compared with LAK Speed on oils. You know what? They're right. I don't. Let me make sure you understand the difference between somebody who is an expert user and somebody who is an expert developer. If I want to know about anything more than I know about oils, do you know who my first guy to call is? It'll be LAK Speed. My oil knowledge is in the area of usage on the dyno. Got a lot of time with oils and dyno testing. But if one makes more horsepower than the other, I don't necessarily know why. And if I do want to know why, the guy I would call is LAK Speed. His knowledge of oils has got to be an order of magnitude more than mine. Now, as far as my oil expertise is concerned, it's probably an order of magnitude over the average guy in the street. But that's not what I know about oils, is not up to what we could be to be on par in this channel. So I want to say something here. If I need to know about oils, I call LAK Speed. And also, his latest video explaining about adding zinc to oils and lots of other things. The premise of it is can you have too much zinc?
We're here at Southwest Research, and we're working with Total Seal and Rottler Manufacturing to find out the true effects of ZDP. We all call it zinc, but their technical name is zinc dialkyl-thiophosphate. That's hard to say, so we just call it zinc instead. Is more ZDP actually better? Is there too much possible ZDP? We're going to find out the answers. We're going to study the effect of zinc levels in oils on piston ring and cylinder bore wear. This little device back here is called a TE77. It's a reciprocating rig. We can take a piece of cylinder and a piece of a piston ring and rub them together at the same heats and loads and speeds that you see in an actual engine, and it takes away all the other variables. So then we can analyze that used oil and actually see how much wear is occurring, not only by measuring the liner and the ring, but also measuring the wear metals in the used oil. So this is going to give us the idea of what's actually happening in that engine and what those zinc levels actually do. So before we get into the results, let's talk about what zinc actually is, and more importantly, how it works, because that's the key to understanding the results we're going to show you in this video.
Now, in episode whatever, I'll put it across the bottom, I went into talking about zinc and saying you can have too much, and I showed what it is. And I'm sure a lot of people thought, oh wait, he's pushing his stuff for the oil extreme stuff here, which really is much better than zinc at doing the job. Now, here's what. I was very pleased to see that LAK Speed's demolition of zinc as the be-all and end-all of safety measures in lubricants, especially for flat tappet cams and rings. He shows some excellent graphs how zinc, more is a bit better, more is a bit better, and then it gets to a certain point. Stop. Any more, it gets worse and worse. And friction and wear are not directly tied, and he explains very well why that's so. So my criticism here is, if you want to see a job well done, go and see LAK Speed's deal, right? And also, if you haven't done so, subscribe. The guy is worth it. Regularly worth it. You know, and on top of this, he's a nice guy to work with. Not all guys out there are. So, do that. Now, my next criticism is going to be of Darren Morgan. Here's the deal. Darren has done some absolutely awesome videos that are really standalone deals on wet flow, port velocity, and things like this. And yet his subscription count is out of all proportion low. So what I want you to do, if you're looking for an education, an upmarket education. Go and log into Darren Morgan's, one of Darren Morgan's videos, and he's got maybe about 10 out there. Subscribe, and then one by one go through those videos, and then if you haven't learned something at the end of it, you must be a dunce, right? My guess is, even if you are the average guy in the street, you will find that you will learn some valuable things about porting that are not talked about very often by anybody else. And here's the thing, the artwork on that is pretty well done. So that's it, Darren Morgan. Oh, and subscribe to his channel. I'm trying to boost Darren's channel count, subscriber count, to something more worthy of the quality of the information in it. So do me a favor, and you will be doing me a favor, not Darren, you'll be doing me a favor if you go to his website, watch those deals, boom, and subscribe. Go for it. Next deal. Next subject, 337 speed. Now, is this a grouse or compliments? Well, I think it's a grouse-pliment because it's both. 337 Speed is a very professionally done website which goes through and explains the whys and wherefores of various aspects of an engine. And they also do interesting standalone videos on a subject material that may be not quite as technical and probably historic. Now, their artwork is very good, and the presentation is very good. In fact, I've got to say that it's got to be a 9.9 out of 10. I'd like to get my channel up to that kind of status in terms of quality of production. It's going to take a while and some money. Now, why have I got a grouse? Well, on a couple of occasions at least that I found, they've used material that's my material that I developed and did the artwork for, and did not give me credit for it. And when I complained about it, they simply removed it from the video. Now, that's their prerogative, but it would have been nice, since they had gone in and done this anyway, if they could have just said, courtesy of PowerTec 10. I'm also going to take a look at all of their information they put forward, and right now I guess I'm hung up on incorrect information to spec out an exhaust system. Now I'm going to show you a video here, and I'll interrupt it here and there as we go through.
Higher peak torque production, while a smaller cross section has the absolute opposite effect. Using this formula for the primary pipe area, we plug in a desired peak torque RPM, let's say 6,000 RPM for a built K20 Honda engine. We multiply by the displacement of one cylinder in cubic inches, and then divide by a constant of 88,200. For the K20, we get 2.07 inches squared for the primary pipe area, and after converting the area to diameter, we get 1.62 inches, and after adding in the wall thickness of 0.065, you get the tubing size of 1 3/4 or 1.75 inches.
Now, this is all nicely done, well explained. The problem is, such a formula is almost only right by chance. We want something a little more precise than that, and I'm going to tell you how to do it in a video exclusively on exhaust pipe sizing. Now let's move on to the next part of the video.
These formulas are rough outlines and never should be used as absolutes, rather a rule of thumb.
Well, in all fairness, you can see that our guy here does actually say this is not the be-all and end-all of sizing exhaust pipes. However, that leaves you hanging. You're just one step nearer to spending out money on headers that you can't absolutely be sure of. I'm going to fix that. In the upcoming video, I am going to give you a very precise method of sizing exhaust pipes. It is virtually infallible.
Length of the runners also factor into the timing of pressure waves that are reflected back to the exhaust valve during valve overlap.
Well, the piece of the video I've just shown is actually the start of a section on pipe lengths. Again, this is very well done, and if you want to see an execution of the dynamics or the function of exhaust pipe lengths and how RPM that they chime in is affected by length, then just go and see the rest of this video on this. This is about halfway through the video. Now, there is a few factors here. Although the information given is pretty concise, it does leave out a few factors which, if you're a user of a V8, is very conducive to making horsepower. In the 337 speed video, it tended to focus on mostly inline engines and four-cylinder engines. Okay, that's about all I've got for this edition of PowerTec 10. Don't forget, we need your subscriptions, we need you to comment, we need you to get notified, etc. Please share this video with as many other people as you can. Oh, I should have said, when will this exhaust sizing video be out? Well, it's about halfway through May 24. I would say between now and the end of June it should be out. I've got some artwork to do. I've been inspired by 337's artwork, so I am going to base it on what they've done because I can see that it works very well. Anyway, don't forget to subscribe. We need those subscriptions. And don't forget, the No Name Nationals is on in September. You should have seen some flashes of ads going by throughout this video, hopefully. So, let me finish by saying thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next video.